Hi, this is your host, Kristen Howe, and I would like to welcome you to our call with our very special guest today, Dr. Michael R. Smith. Now, for over 2 decades, Michael has touched the lives of hundreds of thousands of people all over the world as a healing practitioner and spiritual medium. He specializes in helping empaths and highly sensitive people recognize and use the gift their true nature provides. He's the author of 3 books and is featured in the award-winning documentary film Sacred Space, Searching for the Source. Michael has also presented his sensitivity workshops internationally, including at the renowned Omega Institute, and his monthly newsletter reaches tens of thousands of readers, and over 650,000 people have utilized his online materials, which is absolutely amazing. Now, on today's call, you will discover how you may be an empath, which is a person who is exceptionally sensitive to the energy of others. You'll also discover the most effective way to enhance your intuition and connection to spirit, how to set boundaries with others so that you're no longer drained or fatigued, how to get grounded and discharge the negative energy you pick up around you. So there is so much for us to explore on the call today. Michael, I'm really excited to have you here joining us, and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome to everybody on the line, and thank you so much, Kristen, for having me.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled we could actually get you on. So what I'd love for you to do is share a little bit of your story, sort of, you know, here we are. This is the Manifest Everything Now series. So maybe some of the turnarounds that you experienced in your life that allowed you to manifest what you've manifested in your life at this point.
Oh, you bet. Yeah. Like a lot of us on the line, I found myself at one point in my life about almost 10 years ago. I was teaching at the University of Wyoming. I was a professor of counseling, and I was miserable. I was just really unhappy with my life and how I was living it, which was existing solely in the left brain of academia. And I knew in my gut that there was more. I knew that there was this whole other world to be tapped into, and I knew at the time that I was not utilizing those feelings that I was having deep inside my gut. I'm sure a lot of the listeners on the line can relate. You know, those vague feelings that something just wasn't quite right, and I was meant to do something more, something bigger, something, my soul's destiny. And I think that's what a lot of us on the line are searching. So what I did, I actually left my professorship. It was a nice, cushy, safe job in terms of the money, that was for sure. And I went and moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico into like absolutely nothing. I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I saw this bumper sticker and it said leap and the net will appear. And I really took that to heart. And I am so glad that I had the courage at the time to do that, because I didn't even have a paycheck. I didn't have a source of income. I was living on the side of a hill in a tent in Taos, New Mexico, for a few months. But what I was doing was it was intentional. I was seeking healing for myself, for others, and I sought that out. My path was through learning indigenous healing methods, hanging out with a lot of Native American shamans, and several very wonderful mentors that helped me get to where I am now, which is a much happier, healthier person who I feel like I'm just so happy and grateful to Spirit for allowing me to do calls like this and to do this work. And thank you very much, Kristen, for your role in that as well.
Oh, absolutely. We're like I said, we're thrilled to have you here, and it's always exciting to hear, someone who literally has been able to manifest the life of their dreams and is really fulfilled, having not started there. So
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate that. So let's get started, because I know that perhaps many of our listeners are not familiar with what an empath is. So can you sort of get into that and describe it a little bit to us?
You bet. And without fail, these calls are so important because people are learning to see themselves with that term. Now, the term empath and or the term highly sensitive person is another very similar term. It's basically referring to the fact that a lot of us are on the planet right now are very sensitive people. We're sensitive to energy. We have the ability through sensory perception, let's put it that way, multiple sensory perception to perceive the energies around us. Now, for a lot of people, that's the energy of the environment. For other people, that's the energy, and in particular for empaths and highly sensitive people, it's the energy of the people that are around us that we're so sensitive to. So empathic people, highly sensitive people, are very deeply tuned into the emotions and the motivations and sometimes even the thoughts. We can literally perceive those thoughts of other people around us. Because we're such good perceivers. And so it's all about energy, and that's the way that I, in my books, in my online courses, that's what it all comes down to, is the fact that we're all in a sea of energy, and we're all learning how to navigate this sea of energy. Now, specifically, some more specific traits of empaths are that you can, if you're an empath or a highly sensitive person, you can take a look at another human being, and you almost have an ability to like see through them into the deepest parts of their soul. So very quickly, if you're a good people reader or person reader, you might be an empath. Empaths have an ability to be tuned into their own emotions, and especially the emotions of others. So if you find that you've gone through your life and you've had an easy ability to cry, or to sometimes even cry for no what you would say was no particular logical reason, then you might be an empath. We can get into more of that later. What you might be doing is picking up the emotions of other people, and your unexplained tears are just the attempt by your body to get that emotion out of your body. You might be an empath if you like peace and tranquility. You walk into a mall. This is a really big one. You walk into a mall and you get overwhelmed by the energy of malls or the energy of big spaces, sporting events, crowds in general. Empaths tend to shy away from crowds. I know I do. That's why I live up here in the mountains of Colorado, and so grateful for that. You might be an empath if you have ever been called hypersensitive or oversensitive. If you've had any kind of trauma in your life, there's a correlation between early childhood traumatic, quote-unquote, traumatic experiences and empathy, and no one really knows why. We have some theories on that, but that's correlated. And your nervous system is an empathic and a highly sensitive person's nervous system is usually always on alert, and is always scanning for where the next lower vibrational energy might be. So if you're a person who's maybe have been just a tad, we're not saying clinically paranoid here, a tad paranoid about, where's the next threat, where might the next harmful energy, lower vibratory energy be, then you might be an empath or sensitive person, because the body has its own wisdom and is constantly scanning the field, the quantum field, for either high vibrational or low vibrational energy. We'll talk more about changing the paradigm from being worried about threats into one where we switch that paradigm upside down and we become joy creators, and we become concerned only with laughter. So those are just a few of the traits of empaths and highly sensitive people.
Interesting. Okay, so now let me ask you this, because this is what you work with this. Now, if someone is sitting here listening and going, oh, well, I guess that's kind of me, but, this is a very blunt question, but should they not even listen? Or is there something to be gained from this, whether you think you're an empath or not?
Oh, whether you immediately identify with the term or not, absolutely, because what we're going to be talking about today is energy. And all of us, every single human being on the planet, exists in the field, the energy field of the universe. And we'll be doing some exercises later on that deal with letting go of energy that you don't need. And I'm sure all of us on the line have things in our life that we are wanting to let go of in order that we may manifest what we are moving towards, what our heart really desires.
That's perfect, and I love that. Obviously, I knew the answer to the question, but still, I wanted to pose that for everybody.
You bet.
So, and I love what you just said, because it's what I feel so passionate about, and why I'm here, doing something that's called Manifest Everything Now. Is I love stuff as much as anybody, money and all of that stuff, but I firmly believe that it really does start from the inside. And I also agree with you that it's all energy. Money is energy. All the stuff is energy as well. So I really like that what you're working with is manifesting from an energetic standpoint. I think that's really powerful.
Well, that's all that there is energy. I mean,
right.
I mean, we can go back thousands of years. Our indigenous ancestors knew that. And only recently has quantum physics been able to catch up with what the indigenous cultures, what we as human beings intuitively knew and what we intuitively know. So I have a phrase in the books that I've written called the three brains, and we have a small mind, which is the organ itself, the brain. We have a heart, which is also a brain, and we have a gut, which is even more of a brain than what you may think of as the brain. It's called the enteric nervous system, and there are more nerves there than are in the brain itself, and the messages that originate in the gut and move up to the brain outnumber the ones that go down from the brain to the gut by 10 to 1.
Wow.
So there's all this, there's these resources here that we haven't been using. Our ancestors did use those, and only now are we reconnecting with that, and we're learning that, okay, manifestation it's really not that difficult when you come down to it on a quantum physics and energetic level. It's all about vibration.
Okay, cool. So let's go with that.
Yeah.
Because I love someone that just confidently says, well, what we're figuring out is that manifestation is actually not that difficult, which I agree with you. So if, for people who are listening right now and they're like, well, Michael, I'm having trouble manifesting this, that, the other thing, what would you say is the absolute first thing they need to do to start manifesting what they desire? Become
very clear on what it is that you want. I mean, there are many steps. That's probably, I would say, I don't know about you, Kristen, but that's probably you have to know what you want in order to, first of all, to allow the magical realm that we call spirit or source or universe, whatever you want to call it. There's many different words for that. What we're discovering is there's a magical process of unfolding that happens when we ask for something that we want to have happen. And now in the training that I've been through, it's wonderful we put out those good thoughts, positive thoughts, like attracts like, law of attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a deeper component to this that the people that I work with in a more serious manner are empathic healers, let's call it that, and they're realizing that their empathy is a gift from Creator, Spirit, or Source to be used in the service of healing the earth and healing humanity and healing each other, what the Native Americans or the indigenous cultures would call the circle, the great mystery that we're all in. And so that goes a little bit deeper. And if you were identifying that you are one of those people that maybe has a healing role to play, and that your gut is saying like, I think I'm here for a reason. I think I'm here to help, then highly encourage you to learn more about being an empath, your role to play, and here's a really important point, is that you can pray for others, and when you do so, the power of your own prayer, what you're praying for, is automatically amplified. So medicine people will use that term. In and again, I'm a white guy, right? I've had the joy and the privilege of being trained by some really amazing and cool and really open Native American medicine people and shamans. They get it. They get that we're all one. And so I speak from my own perspective that, that what I've learned through the years is that what the natives have always done from the beginning of time is that those medicine people, when they pray for healing for a client, they themselves are automatically included. So whatever you put out for someone else comes back to you tenfold. So oftentimes I will tell, and when I work with clients, I will say, hey, sometimes we get too caught up in our own selfish desires, right? So let go of that, let go of the selfishness, and start to focus, train the eye like a laser in praying for someone else. And you will find that like a boomerang, whatever it is that you're praying for someone else, like if you're praying for someone else's abundance, you automatically yourself are included in that, and that prayer comes back to you. So because we're all one.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this, because I think there's a huge distinction to be made here, and I'd be interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
When you're getting clear on what it is you desire, or even what it is you're praying for someone else, would you say there's a different – I think people get confused, and they think, they're like, well, Michael, I am focused on what I desire. I know what I want. I'm really clear on it. I don't want to be in debt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they desire, or is that the opposite of what they desire? I think that, I think a lot of times, even with our prayers for other people, we're praying, but we're focusing on the negative things. So is there a way that we can shift, that you would suggest that we shift to not focusing on the problem, but focusing on what we truly desire? Is there a way to do that?
Well, everything in the special offer, I'm all about tools and techniques and exercises. So we'll do some exercises later, like I mentioned. But the answer to the question is yes. Now, there are many, many tools of manifestation. And those tools are, we'll just go down the list here. An altar, the creation of sacred space. An altar is nothing more. A church has an altar, and yet you can create an altar through simply putting a tablecloth on a small little table next to your bed and placing objects on that altar, which is the act of creating it makes your ability to manifest more real and amplified, because you're putting on your altar pictures or symbols of what it is that you want. So let's say you're asking for a new job or a new career. You could put a picture that you saw in a magazine of someone who looked happy and healthy doing, I'm just using this, a dentist.
Okay, cool.
That would not be a career that I would want, but maybe someone on the line does. So, finding someone's teeth and putting them on your altar, that is a tool of manifestation. And, it's a simple tool, because all it takes is you cutting out a picture from a magazine, and yet it's so profound an act because it takes actions. It takes thoughts first, knowing what you want, and then it takes actions based on those thoughts, based out of love, not fear, to focus on what you want. So altar being one example. In my practice, when I work with clients, to help me help my clients, the tools of manifestation that I use in addition to the altar are I use a drum. I use rattles. And with every beating of that drum, I'm praying and asking for a vibration of love and healing to come through for my client. That's a tool of manifestation. Putting on your dancing shoes. Like right before this call, I had my headphones on and I was dancing around to some dance music. I love dance music. And while I was doing that, I was focused on creating a vibration of a high vibration for this call so that I may share my own divinity and authenticity with others on the call. So putting on your dancing shoes, many, many tools of manifestation. That's just a fantastic question.
Yeah, and I love that answer. Actually, it's funny that you say that because I actually take dance breaks throughout my day. Where literally I'm like, and it's time to dance. So I love that because any of the things you said, even when you said create an altar, you said creating a sacred space. I think there's something so powerful to that because if it's sacred to you, it is now a tool of manifestation.
Yes.
So let's talk about this because obviously it sounds like what you're saying is connecting to your intuition, connecting to spirit is essential for manifesting. Is that a fair assessment?
You bet. I mean, whatever you want to call it, spirit, highest self, there's a part of us, there's an energy to which each of us is connected to, and that is the energy of other people. And so empaths and highly sensitive people, or all of us on the planet, really, we're all one. And empaths know that probably a little bit better than someone who wouldn't identify with that term, because they literally perceive the energy. We all do. We all literally perceive the energy of other people in our own bodies. Most of us are just not yet aware of the degree to which we do that. And so I think a lot of us on the planet are asking our highest selves, are asking our smallest selves, the person that I know as Michael Smith, the person that you know as Kristen, to learn about the energy to which we're connected to, and to be a traveler between those, between worlds, with the phrase that I use. We travel back and forth between the world of high vibrational spirit and then the lower, denser vibration of the earth. And the more that you can successfully be a clean, clear, in your physical body person living on the planet, directly proportional to the degree to which I believe you'll manifest the things that you want.
I love that. Okay, so what would you say is the most effective way for any of us to actually enhance our intuition and, connect to spirit or whatever you call it?
Strangely enough, by being grounded in your physical body. That may seem odd to some of you listening. Why would I want to focus on the physical body? If you think of how, let's use lightning as an example. I've used this example in my classes and in my books. That if you think of how lightning works, it comes down. I mean, it moves both ways. It goes up from the ground. Few people know that, up to the heavens, and it also comes down into the earth. When it comes down into the earth, it has to have a spot on the earth that's electrically charged with a certain vibration that will allow the energy of lightning to ground into the earth and to manifest on the planet. Has to be a place of grounding. So in the same way that before lightning can move, which comes from the sky, we have to be grounded in our physical bodies through practices like dancing, like drumming, like creating altars, like using essential oils. I mean, I wouldn't say thousands, but there's probably several hundred ideas in my books and in my package about that. We have to be embodied. And if you look at the great masters of today, like someone like Tony Robbins, what does he do that in his seminars? If you watch him, I saw him on Oprah a while back, and I was so thankful for Oprah showing me more deeply what he does. That he dances, he gets everyone dancing up and moving around and embodied, grounded in their physical bodies, so that they may pull or allow, is a better word, allow more high vibrational spiritual energy, which comes from the sky or the heavens, whatever word you want to use, to come down, top down, and so it can enter into your energy field so that you can manifest more quickly.
I love that because you're right. That is not necessarily what many people would think. They might think, oh, well, you have to sort of free yourself from being grounded. But yeah. I love that you're saying, no, it's actually the exact opposite.
It's the opposite, because if you are floating, what a lot of us do, whether you're empathic or not, we tend to run away. into our heads, into the safety of our heads. And when we do that, when we overanalyze, when we overthink, you might be on the call, and I'm sure most of us can identify with times in our life where we just can't shut the brain off.
Yeah.
Well, right? I mean, when that happens, you're not grounded. And therefore, spiritual energy or spiritual vibrations that are always wanting to serve you and helping you manifest, they can't get through.
Right.
And I use the metaphor of, like, if you go to your bathroom and you take a roll of toilet paper, an empty roll, and you put that roll, one end of the roll of the toilet paper up to your mouth, and you put the other end to your palm, and you block the bottom with your palm, and then you try to blow through one end, through the blocked palm, that's what it feels like to spirit or to the universe when they're wanting to support us in our active manifestation and allow us to understand and hear our highest selves. And we're walking around floating off in other dimensions, not grounded. It's impossible for the energy and the messages and the highest self to get through to us.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. So I'm really glad you clarified that and said it that way, because I've not heard many people say it like that. Now, you mentioned something earlier that I want to get back to. You said especially empaths, but perhaps all of us are picking up on energies and vibrations that might not be starting from us. Is that a good way of saying that? Okay, so can you explain that a little bit more, and also how that could be affecting us perhaps in a negative way?
Well, we all exist. We're all here on the planet right now, and we exist. Surrounding us are other people, and again, it's all energy. We have what many of us are waking up to, and even medical science now is starting to wake up to this idea, thank God, that we have such a thing called an energy field and an aura, and it's not all new agey gobbledygook. This is science. We have what's called an energy field, and it extends roughly, for the sake of the human mind, 20 to 25 feet in any given direction. Now, because of that, because our physical body, it's part of our physical body actually, because that physical body is not as small as we thought it was, it's not, the borders of the skin is an illusion really, because our energy extends 20 to 25 feet, and for many of us who are really healers, our energy fields are more like 70 feet. That means that wherever you're sitting right now, your existence, you are perceiving the energy on a subtle level, and it's impossible not to. You are picking up the energies of the people that are living, if you're in an apartment, that are living next door to you, in the apartment next door to you. You are picking up the energy of the guy in the office next to you. You just are not yet aware of just how he or she, that person, is affecting you. And yet their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, what they're going through does affect you. And we all affect each other. And that's when people who've had near-death experiences, when they cross over to the other side, they say without question, almost to a person, they understand that everything is one. It's not a saying. It is a fact of physics that if I take an action to clear my body, and let's say there's some energy there that earlier in the day, like maybe people on the line can relate, maybe you had an interaction with someone over email. This is a big one, where email is difficult because you can't see the person, and so sometimes we misconstrue emails, and yet the energy that's created when you're typing an email gets sent to whoever you're sending it to. And when you open up an email, you literally, all of us, perceive the energy, whether it's high vibration or low vibration, from whoever's sending it. And we're waking up to that fact now, that we're all one. We all exist in the CN of energy. And if I'm able to let go of anger or frustration by drumming it out of my energy field, then whoever I was angry at, I make life better for them.
Wow. See, that's powerful. So you're not just making it better for you, you're making it better for other people, which I think is amazing. Okay, so how do we continue to interact in a positive way with the people around us without getting bogged down or drained or fatigued by any of the negative, lower vibration energies that might be coming at us?
Well, what many of us have done, and again, this is so common. I hear this over and over and over. Probably 50 to 60%, maybe even higher, of my clients have energetic diseases like fibromyalgia. They're not really diseases; they're syndromes. More accurate. Science can't classify them as a disease because they don't know what fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue is. They just know it's a collection of symptoms that are energy-based. So what can we do can you repeat that question again?
Well, because I think, sure, what I think it is a matter of, well, how do we continue to interact? So it's not, you know, you need to set boundaries from the negative energy sort of bogging you down and adversely affecting you, and yet we want to be able to have healthy relationships with strangers and with the people in our lives that we love. So how do we find that balance?
We find the balance by, number one, becoming aware of what is us and what is coming from us and what is coming from someone else. That question can be answered by asking yourself, what reason do I have to feel this way when you're around other people? If the answer is no, that you have no logical reason to feel sad or unhappy, then that leads you to believe that the energy that you're perceiving, your experience, is being affected by someone else's. And who wants a lower vibrational experience, right? So there's where the word learning to use the word no comes in for all of us, in particularly those of us who are more highly sensitive than other people. Highly sensitive people, empathic people, tend to overengage because we're compassionate. We see the best in other people, and we want to do and fulfill what many people would refer to as our mission on the planet, which is we're here for a reason. We may not know exactly what that is, and yet we know that we're here to help. And so because of that, because that's encoded, I would say, in our soul, we tend to always want to help. And the chronic, may not be the best word, the habitual patterns would be a better word, of engaging in wanting to assist with other people leads us to get out of whack, out of balance energetically. We take on too much, we absorb too much, we get too much psychic debris stuck in our energy fields, and then we become sick. So learning to say no to others is a foreign concept for many of us because we want to say yes, we want to help.
Right. And
it's critically important to embrace and ask yourself, what is it? What is my gut? Like everyone on the line right now, ask your gut. Tune into your gut. Rub it. Make physical contact with it. Say hello to your gut. It's a person just like you. It's got its own vibration, its own job to do, just like you. And ask it. It will give you an answer to this question. Where in my life am I doing too much? Where am I over-engaging? What do I need to or want to let go of in order that I may pull back, disengage, and so that I may have more energy reserves for myself, and I'm not constantly being drained by the energy of others or giving my energy away unnecessarily or maladaptively. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so funny because, people listening have probably heard me say this before, but, my mother, when I was growing up, always used to tell me, you know what, honey, go with your gut. And now you're explaining why that was really, really appropriate advice. So I think that's great. Okay, so let's say the inevitable happens and we do, in fact, pick up someone else's negative energy. How do we then go about discharging that energy?
Well, that's, there's, again, infinite possibilities to that. Okay. When I asked my teacher, when I was first starting out. He said that word over and over, and it really stuck to me. Infinite possibilities for any question. So how do we, what do we do to become more fully embodied in our own energy, to let go of others? I mean, hundreds of ideas. I mean, what I find is movement, healing movement, yoga, meditation, quieting the mind, dancing, learning how to work with the elements, water, fire, air, and earth. For those of you that are more attuned to the earth energy, you may want to pursue a path like I have done in what's called shamanism, and that is simply working and learning with the energies, the people that are in animal form on the planet, and how those vibrations can be called upon to assist you for healing. I do a whole class in my special offer about shamanism, so if you want to learn more there, it's there. I mean, journaling, making an altar, making sacred space, finding a ritual and a practice, I would say, some ritual, some practice in which you are making a connection between your mind and your body to teach the other about the other, to teach the mind that there is such a thing as a body, to teach the mind that there is a body called spirit, to teach spirit or to connect spirit more with the body. And practices such as meditation and yoga are big ones. There are hundreds of other, martial arts is a big one. Working with essential oils, learning how to use herbs from the earth, such as sage, such as lavender. Lavender is a big one for sensitive people. It has a very calming vibration. I work with something called a chanupa. This is a Native American tool of manifestation. Again, that I find I resonate with because it allows me to connect to the spirit world and connect to my body at the same time. So anything that you can do that connects your physical body with either your mind or your spirit will help you to clear it all out.
Okay, very cool. And I know that you actually have an exercise that helps with that as well that you were going to share with us, right? And so everybody stick around because Michael is going to do that right at the very end. I wanted to send everybody off sort of clearing themselves. So right at the very end of the call, we'll do that. But I've got more questions for you, of course, because you're so great and you're so spot on. Okay, I know that something that you say, because I just know this is something you say, is that the degree to which we manifest is directly proportional to the degree with which we clear our bodies of past, stagnant, I love this, yucky energy to become clear, clean, and hollow spiritual tubes. So here's my question for you about that. Do you have to know what it is that is causing you to be blocked? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and absolutely not. You do not need to know. The human mind likes to know. It likes to be in control. It likes to think that it knows, and it attempts. It's doing its job, right? I mean, we couldn't get through the world and pay the plumbing, the sewer bill, for instance, if we didn't have a mind that made things simple, discernible, and easy for us to understand. It takes large things such as spirit and energy, and it attempts to chop them up into little discernible, easy, swallowable, digestible pieces so that it makes sense for us. I find that the more aware, let's use that term, I become about spirit, the less that I know. And so there's a phrase that I use in my books and courses, and it's called the Empath mantra, and actually it could be anyone's mantra. I find that it's a wonderful tool to relieve psychic burdens and pressure. When we want to know the answer to something and we don't know, we simply affirm, and we repeat the following affirmation and phrase, mantra. I don't know, and I don't need to know. So those of you on the line tonight, I'm sure most of us have questions about our lives right now that maybe that are kind of bubbling up, like what do I do about this? What do I do about that? Is this related to a past life? I mean, that's a big one that I hear a lot. And, you know, there's a reason why spirit doesn't allow us to see who we were in past lives. There's a very good reason for that. We don't know, and we don't need to know why. It may be related to the fact that if we did know who we really were deep down, it would blow our minds, literally. We would become schizophrenic. We are on earth for a reason. We don't know, and we don't need to know exactly why we're here. We have a clue. We have theories, and those are helpful, and we follow those intuitions and feelings and memories. And there's a reason why, a very good reason, I believe, why we cannot yet see the big picture yet, because we're not ready for it, and Spirit knows that, and they protect us from it. So until the time comes where you're taking your last breath, or maybe sooner, because the quicker that we all learn to manifest and let go, the more awareness we will have about things such as past lives. In the meantime, just simply, repeat that phrase, the mantra, I don't know and I don't need to know. And you may find, as I do, that, okay, it's like washing your hands of it. It relieves all the pressure to know.
Huh. I love that. That's so great. I don't know and I don't need to know. I will be using that.
Yeah.
That's great. Because I know that, that is one of the things you said. We retreat to our minds way too often to our detriment, correct?
That is right. Absolutely. It's one of the biggest addictions for many of us on the planet, and particularly sensitive people and empathic people and intuitive people, is that we perceive so much, we run away, and we run away to this what feels safe and digestible, and that is the safety of what we know as the mind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, talk to me because, all right, so we've talked about the mind, we've talked about the stomach or the gut.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the heart and the importance that plays. I know that you talk about the heart chakra and all of that. So
yes, the heart chakra is the exact. There's an exercise that we can. It's very, very easy to do. It's an exercise, and this is the type of information you'll get in the books. Is that you place two fingers on the top of your sternum, where the collarbone meets there. In the center, top of your sternum, where the collarbone comes together, and run your fingers down your sternum until you feel the soft tissue. This is the cartilage. There's an organ at the end of the sternum called the xiphoid process. And right around that area where you may start to feel an indentation in your chest there, that is your center point. There is a point in that general vicinity that is the exact center of your being, and that is located in the heart chakra. There are 3 chakras above that point, major chakras, and three major chakras below that point. So physiologically, it's your exact center. Spiritually, it's your center. That heart chakra, again, it's just like any other organ in your body. It's there to serve you. Now, do you know why your heart pumps? Probably most of us, I don't know why my heart pumps.
Nope. I'm glad it does.
Exactly, right? So there's a mystery there. And that's why some of the natives and the indigenous, I love the phrase great mystery, because that's really what we're all engaged in, is that great mystery. And that heart, it's a mystery. And we know that by making contact with it and saying hello to it and to its personhood, that simple act of connecting the mind with the heart, which is the physical, allows you to run energy clearer, cleaner, and more fluidly. That simple act of just acknowledging that, oh yeah, that's right, I have a heart. I have a heart chakra. Oh, that's right, I forgot about that. And it's working it's always pumping 24/7, and it's serving me. And by acknowledging its existence, and by saying thank you, everyone on the line, say thank you to your hearts and create a feeling in your heart of gratitude. The act of doing that will allow more energy to move. You may feel tingles. You may feel warmth. Again, just a very simple act of acknowledging.
Wow. Yeah, that's very cool. I love that. Yeah, I definitely felt some tingling and definitely a full awareness there. So is that something we can do when we start to feel constricted in that area?
You bet. Absolutely. And again, combine it. There's a phrase that I talk about called psychokinesis. Psycho means mind. Kinetic means motion. Mind over matter or mind over motion. And that's the basis of learning to be a fully empowered human being on the planet, is to invoke what, psychokinesis is not some fancy thing that only Uri Geller can do and bend spoons. We do it every day, and that's how we manifest. So we connect our mind with the physical, and we bang on the drum there. And with that bang on the drum, or with the clapping of your hands, you can simply right now clap your hands in the middle of your heart chakra and pray for the dissolution of anything that you don't need. And that simple act of psychokinesis, asking to let go of energy that you don't need in your heart chakra, it'll happen. It'll chop it up. It'll karate chop that energy.
Wow. I love that. And everything that you're saying, it's almost like you're taking all of the stuff that could potentially seem all woo-woo, and you're actually you're grounding it, which is funny that we've already talked about grounding.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is to hear, maybe a story or an example of people that have worked with you that have experienced significant turnarounds in their lives. Is there anything you can think of off the top of your head? I know there's a bunch of them, but that you could share?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's just amazing stories. One off the top of my head, I have a client that I've been working with recently. She's actually manifested so quickly that she's moved on, and she came to me, must have been 6 months ago, not even that probably, and she was completely overwhelmed by the energy that she was perceiving. She was somewhat paranoid. She was having all of these experiences she didn't understand, and most of all, I would say she was scared. She was scared of the spirit world, of what was happening to her. She had quite a bit of trauma in her life that she was asking to let go of. We worked in a one-on-one manner. She joined my class, the Empath Academy, and she got the Empath Toolkit. And working with all of those techniques that are in the books and in the audios, I'm just completely blown away by how quickly she has been able to manifest. I wish I was able to do it as quickly as her. She is incredibly gifted, but the thing is that she really, I mean, she stepped it up a notch. She realized that, okay, I got to take responsibility. I got to do something here, and let's use these tools. Let's use these techniques. And she's completely, I mean, she is off, working as a healer now. I mean, less than 6 months later, she's giving readings to other people. She's connecting other people and helping heal other people. Most of all, I mean, she's fulfilling her purpose on earth, which is to help other people.
Wow.
And she's completely come out of her shell, and she's aware and open and just high vibrational. She's working it, as I say, in a great way. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing and amazingly fast. So yeah, I can see why you're like, oh, I wish I could do it that quickly.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. Okay, and I know that you put together something special for everybody who's listening. Let me give everybody the link, and then I'm going to have you let them know what they'll find there.
So go ahead, click on the special offer button that's on this webpage, and we will take you right there.
So, Michael, if you can let us know what we'll find there, that would be great.
You bet. That is the link to the complete Empath Toolkit. And again, this is a package. It's more than just a book. A lot of people think it's just one ebook that I wrote. It does happen to be the title of one ebook. I've got 3 ebooks in that package, and you can see more information about that on the special link there. It also comes with 10 hours of audio instruction, and these are the forms of classes, seminars that I've given. Many of them are on specific topics, such as trauma. For instance, that's one of the classes, trauma. A lot of empaths tend to attract narcissistic personalities because we're so full of light. We have a relationship with darker or lower vibratory energies, obviously, and so there's a class on that, on overcoming that. There's a class on shamanism. There's a class on addictions and overcoming addictions like alcohol, drugs. It's just so. I mean, that's a lot of material. 10 hours of material. And 3 ebooks, and then you also get an invitation. I feel very strongly that it's important to offer people the opportunity to come together in a community manner. Mm-hmm. And much like you're doing here with bringing people together, I offer a live teleclass, a seminar where you can ask questions of me, of other people on the line, and we do that later on this year.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. And here's the thing that I want to point out again, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but even though this is described as being for empaths or highly sensitive people, really anybody can benefit from this, because all you really have to be interested in is spiritual matters and want to learn how to better manage your personal energy. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're all energetic beings, and I've actually thought about changing the title of it to the Complete Energy Toolkit or the Complete Spiritual Energy Toolkit, because that's really kind of maybe even a more accurate representation of what the package is. It's about learning how to work with spiritual energy, learning how to connect with your guides, learning how to connect with your intuition, which is energy. That's all that is. Mm-hmm. And learning how to do that through using the most divine tool that you have available to yourself, which is, your physical body.
I love that. And as we've talked about, that is exactly how you begin to manifest everything now. Mm-hmm. So everybody, once again, and then we're gonna jump into that exercise we promised you.
If you haven't yet, just click on the special offer button on this page to see for yourself what an amazing package this is. You'll be glad you did.
And before we do jump into the exercise, just because I know a few people are now checking out the link, can you just give us an idea of some of the results that people could expect to see and feel right away, and what they can expect sort of over time with this?
Right away, by putting right away, you're going to feel it in here in a couple of minutes with the exercise that we do. By following and adopting the practices and the suggestions, which are very specific and very detailed. It's a 250-page book. By following those suggestions, you will immediately find yourself lighter, clearer. You will begin to release that energy in your spirit, in your body, the bodies, plural, that you no longer need. You will find that your intuition will improve, your connection to spirit will improve, your connection to and your awareness of just how much other people's energy affects you will improve. That's in the short term. And over the long term, you will become, honestly, and I don't mean to say this is obviously not based in any, in an ego sense, you will become a master, the master that you already are. All of us are spiritual masters. And over time, the degree to which you take actions and apply them in a disciplined manner on a daily basis through rituals, through practices that are in this offer here, you will become a person with the spiritual gifts and power like a Buddha, like Jesus, as an example. They were their own unique individuals. No one can be them, and yet you will become a spiritual master like them. And that's not over-exaggeration. That is, if any person on the planet finds those rituals and practices, that's what Spirit offers for us. They offer those gifts to us if we're willing to do our part and take action.
I agree, and then willing to receive it. So I think
yes.
That's such a great, this is a good thing. It's not, it's not a bad thing. So be willing to receive the greatness that you are. And I agree with you. We are already masters, and it's a matter of discovering it and revealing it a little bit, I guess.
I love that word, yeah.
It's such a great way of putting it. Okay, so now, as promised, I would love to have you take us through that exercise so that really everybody here, the goal is that I have, and the reason I asked Michael to do this at the very end of the call is so that as you finish up here, you will already be feeling the result of clearing some, well, you can tell us the purpose of the exercise, but I believe it's to already feel a lot clearer. Is that correct?
That is correct. And if you think about what happens to you at night when you dream, your eyes move. Every human being on the planet dreams. You may not know it because you may not remember your dreams yet, and yet with, just like any practice, with discipline comes the ability to remember. Now, why do our eyes move back and forth? We don't know. Science is doing its best to attempt to figure out the left to right movement. There's something that the human nervous system responds to every night when your eyes dart back and forth. So there's a process in my field, counseling and psychology, that some counselors have been promoting to work with trauma clients. And they found that the recreation of what happens at night, the darting of the eyes back and forth, left to right, you may actually do that right now while we're setting this exercise up. Just dart your eyes back and forth and think of something that is mildly frustrating you, mildly annoying you, mildly, some residue from your day, that an interaction that didn't feel good that you want to let go of, a relationship maybe that you might not be on the best terms with someone and you feel that energy, whatever the emotion might be. That's what we're going to do with this exercise. So conjure up that whatever you choose to, whatever it is that you want to let go of. Now, I'll continue on with that story, that science and psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors, medical doctors have studied this scientifically, and they found that the movement, there's something in that left to right movement that the human nervous system responds to, and it responds by eliminating unwanted emotional states. So clients, there's a process called EMDR. You may want to Google that if you're interested in it. It's called Eye Movement Desensitization Reprocessing. The exercise that we're going to do is a version of that, kind of a unique version of that you're not going to find anywhere else other than the Toolkit, really. We've taken that and we've adapted that left to right eye movement, and we've done it we're going to do an exercise with the jaw. So I'm going to ask you again, here's the exercise. We don't know why this works. We only know that it works to clear unwanted emotional states. So conjuring up in your heart, make contact with your heart, say hello to it, and now I want you to physically conjure up the mild irritation, the mild frustration, the mild whatever it is, anger, sadness. And I want you to now take your lower jaw and move it as far as it will go to the left. This tends to be an awkward move. Hold it for 2 to 3 seconds and then relax it. And then take the lower jaw and move it to the right. Hold it for 2 to 3 seconds and really extend it as far as it'll go to the right. And then move it back to the center. And now for the next 30 seconds, continue this process of left to right movement, moving it back and forth, holding it for 2 to 3 seconds, and then relaxing it, while simultaneously noticing what's happening to the energy, the feelings in your heart. And most individuals, without fail, will begin to notice the energy moving, clearing, and lightening from your heart. The only theories that we have about why this process might work is that there is something known as the vagus nerve, which runs from the neck, or it runs from the face actually, and it's connected to the jaw and the face muscles. It runs down the neck and it runs into the heart. And we theorize that the stimulation of these nerves, the vagus nerve and the nerves that are connected to it, allows energy somehow to be dissolved in your heart. Now, let's do another version of this. Make the biggest fake smile that you can. And for most people, a fake smile is the pulling back of the cheek muscles as far as it'll go and the kind of the squinting of your eyes. Hold that for 2 to 3 seconds and then relax. And then do it again. Fake smile, really big, really exaggerated, almost to the point of where your muscles hurt. Hold it, stretch it, those face muscles, and then relax. And continue that process for a few more moments. And again, notice and become aware of what happens to the energy that you are asking to let go of in your heart. And then we will do one other version of this. In the toolkit, there are protocols using the tongue, using the eyes, and many more protocols than this. This is the third one. I will ask you to lower your jaw this time as far as it'll go to the ground and raise your eyebrows as high as they'll go towards the sky in an exaggerated, surprised look almost. Hold that for 2 to 3 seconds and then relax. And then do it again. High eyebrows to the sky, low jaw pointing down towards the ground as low as it'll go. 2 to 3 seconds of exaggerating, holding, and then relax. And notice how you feel in your heart. And if you feel lighter or clearer, if you feel like that energy, I know right now my heart feels great. It's buzzing. And if you feel that, number one, say thank you to the universe for allowing us to engage this human body and the nervous system in this way, in such a profound way that it's always wanting to support us in our desires to let go of the old stagnant energy and to bring in new higher vibrational energy so that we can manifest on the planet our heart's desires.
Wow, I love that. I felt like I started to feel kind of giddy, like I was going to maybe start to laugh, but not because, not for any other reason than I just felt sort of a light bubbling in my heart area. So that's amazing. I love that. So thank you. That's the perfect way for us to sort of send everybody off is with their hearts feeling amazing, because from that, everybody, you truly can manifest everything you desire. And I'm so thrilled for you, and I'm so thrilled that we were able to share this time with you, Michael. You're fantastic. So thank you so much for taking this time.
Kristen, it is truly my honor. It's my pleasure to connect with you. Thank you so much for offering the opportunity for people to reach their highest selves. And thank everyone on the line for listening and listening attentively. And then thank you for taking actions that will help me on those subtle, refined levels. I thank you in advance for doing that.
I love that, and we are all just so much better because we have crossed paths with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen.
Mm.